Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Valuco and welcome to Personal Pans, conversations about belief, transformation, and the weird things that we experience every day. Today's conversation is with Alisha Landreth of Tidy Tarot Company. I had been quietly a fan of hers for some time. We were both in the Facebook group for the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult during the pandemic, and she had posted Gansfeld goggles that she had made out of a Viewmaster. And I was so taken with the idea and the design that I went ahead and I bought my own Viewmaster. It is still sealed in the package because my undiagnosed ADHD means that I get a lot of ideas and I start a lot of projects, but it takes me a while to finish some of them. This conversation was incredible because Alisha opened up about her experiences with ghosts and with seeing strange things her entire life and possible reincarnation. We also talked a bit about astrology. This was an absolutely wonderful conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as well.
I will not leave the meeting.
That would be great though, if you're like, no, and left in a huff, and then that would be thanks. The entire podcast.
That'd be great.
I know. That's another thing too. Like, this community has been so good in terms of like people just being joyful and kind. Like that is not something I used to encounter, and part of the reason why I was just like, all right, I'm just going to be like witchy and weird in my own little corner and not talk to anybody because I'm sensitive and I don't need that in my life.
Right. Oh man. I know I hid so much of myself of like that side from so many people for so long because, you don't know what the reaction is going to be from anybody. And, I did what I thought I was supposed to do or how I was supposed to act. And so now I just feel a lot more free and it's really nice.
It's so nice because again, I think when you're open to stuff and you're experiencing stuff and it's so lonely because you're having these experiences and you like the world is telling you that you might be crazy. But there are all these historical sources that indicate like this phenomena has been with us for a very long time. And so it's like, and then you have to like pick and choose. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to tell this friend, hopefully they don't think I'm insane because I really like this friendship and I don't want to lose this friendship, you know? So then to just have this like Twitter community and it's like, oh, okay, great. You're cool with it. And you actually have like historical references or personal references in your own life. And we can keep talking. So
exactly. See, like, most of my family knows like I'm into weird stuff, but and my husband has always been super super great about listening to me and like understanding about my experiences and never kind of like telling me like, oh, that didn't happen or anything. So he's experienced stuff too with me. So
that's great. Of course.
Right. But it's always been kind of like a weird running joke of in the family that weird stuff happens to me and everyone just expects it. Like, oh, she's here. It's something weird's gonna happen.
Of course. The book is gonna fly off the shelf. Just wait for it. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Awesome.
That's just always how it's been. So yeah.
What's your earliest memory of weird stuff happening?
So earliest like real memory with me was when I was 9 and we lived in Sumter, South Carolina, on an Air Force base. And we used to have so many weird things happen in this house. Sometimes like the blinds, they were like those pull shades, but they would just fly up and down suddenly and our dog would just like sprint out of the house. I remember looking outside one time. We had a huge field out behind our house and there was like a park and then a field to play like soccer or something. And I remember very vividly seeing a man on a horse suddenly appear and it like old like war uniform, like very old, and it was not of this time. The horse's legs were kind of gone, but the rest of it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he walked for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like he went through a door, and it was just
Oh
and I
boy.
was just like, what do I do with that?
Right. Oh my
So,
God.
and then another time when in the same house, we were walking outside to the park. My sister, me, and I think our neighbor girl that lived next door to us. And I just got like a really crazy feeling. And I was like, I don't know, and I turned around and looked up at my window upstairs. And there's two girls standing in my window, like ringlet curls. I don't know what kind of Victorian type dress up top,
Yes.
holding back my window shades. Their dresses were like pink, like there was color to them.
Yeah,
And
right.
it wasn't like a lady in white. It was like
Yes.
people. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said to my sister, like, look at this. And she turned around and said to our friend that we all saw it. So I don't know why. We all decided to go inside the house. Nobody else was. I was like, why would we not just keep walking?
Of course.
Go, like, you were like, who are these kids? Right. Oh my God. So we go upstairs,
Yeah.
and nobody's there. My shades and everything had been open before we left, because my mom always liked to keep windows open and stuff to let light in. Everything in my room was closed after that. So something had closed it. I'm guessing it was them, but we heard voices in that house all the time. We heard people sometimes yelling at night. Our dog would like go around the edge of where the attic entrance was, because it was so cold sometimes. She just hated going in that spot in the hallway.
Oh my God.
So that house really, packed a punch on first paranormal experiences. And
of course.
I don't think I've ever lived in a normal house since. So it's
Sure.
always been that way. I don't know if anything ever happened before that memory, but that house was definitely the first like solid memories of weird stuff happening that is like stuck in my memory.
Of course.
Now. Yeah. So wild.
Well, yeah. And what's wild about that too is that, again, like other people are seeing these things too. Like, again, so many of these experiences are often like solitary. Yes. And to have a group that's actually with you, like witnessing this thing too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I know my sister, she had some experiences too in that house.
Oh, okay.
And then a few years ago, I decided to look up on a forum, like, this housing complex or area.
Yeah.
And there are threads and forums of people talking about their houses were weird on that base.
Oh
my
God. Okay.
Considering the history of the land and everything, like, why wouldn't there be? Of course, like, South Carolina, Civil War, everything.
Of course.
All the different kind of things that have happened in South Carolina. Like, there's got to be some weird energy happening there. So
well, yes, exactly. If you're in a place that has like all of this kind of like volatile emotional energy, like of course that's gonna, whatever you think ghosts are, like that energy is gonna imprint itself like in the land, on objects. It'll just be there. And then if you're receptive to it, you're just gonna see it.
You're screwed, kind of.
It's over. It's all haunted. Yeah.
Right. If you're receptive to it, you're definitely going to be seeing something going on.
Oh my gosh, of course. Yes. You can't avoid it. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that, yes, it's very wild for that's the first paranormal memories, but it was scary at the time, and but as I've gotten older, it definitely, those things have become less scary to me. I'm not really scared by what's considered haunted or ghosts or any sort of those things. I'm more interested now and curious about what all of this is.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, curiosity is always going to be more engaging than fear. Because I saw stuff when I was a kid, and then I started having panic attacks, and I'm pretty sure the panic attacks keep me from seeing anything in my like daily life. I get stuff in dreams
all the time,
Oh
but like
gosh.
walking around, no. My brain just like, nope, shut it down.
You have that force field that they probably cannot enter into it. So that's
it.
good.
That's exactly it. That's my witchy
Yes.
powers of panic. Just like, nope. I am defended against you.
Right. At least you can live a calmer life that way.
Right. It's just all internal panic as opposed to
There you
external.
go. So a calm life.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh,
So when you
that's
were
good.
younger, were you able to talk to, like, I mean, aside from the people who saw this with you, were you able to talk to family members or friends about any of this?
Not really. Mostly my
Yeah.
sister, just because we had kind of somewhat similar experiences here and there, but she didn't talk about it as much as like I wanted to talk about it.
Sure.
But otherwise, no, we really didn't have any outlet, anyone to talk to, so it all just internalized and just kind of like,
Of course.
I guess that's something that happens, and
Right.
we we did go to church when we were kids. I'm told when I was that age I was pretty religious. I don't remember it, but as I got older I started to question. I think by the time I was 11 I was questioning like everything,
Sure.
like why would this happen, why would anybody let this happen, or different things in our life that
Totally.
we
Yeah.
had experienced that were really hard and traumatizing. I was just like, why would anyone let this happen if they had actual control? And
Mhm.
so then I fell out, definitely out of religion. Thankfully, our family did stop going to church, and like everybody kind of was like more agnostic or atheist
That's
side, but
great.
then they still
Yeah.
right? But
It
then
makes
they
it
still
so
don't
much
get to talk to
easier.
us.
Yeah.
Right. But then sometimes, you don't get to talk to anybody about, oh, I'm still having these weird experiences. But if you're not religious or atheist, you may not believe in like an afterlife or whatever it is. I don't, I don't necessarily think I agree anymore. It's, dead people just hanging around. But
Right.
it's, whatever it is, it's still hard to talk about as a kid if nobody in your family is gonna sit and listen, I guess,
Right.
and want to talk about it. So
Well,
yeah.
that's what's hard too, because it's like if you come from a religious background, you have a religious framework for it. If you
Yes.
come from but if you're coming from like an atheist background, it's kind of like, well, this is all just hallucinations or whatever. There again, that like
Yeah.
sense of play and wonder of like, okay, I don't know what it is, but what could it be? And like clearly,
Mhm.
like people are having experiences, so like there's something to that, whether or not like,
Yes.
okay, sure, say it's all a mass hallucination, like if everybody is having the same or similar hallucinations, like that is something, like if
Right?
everybody is
Yes.
seeing lights in the sky in a specific way or seeing phantom children in a certain way, clearly there is
Right?
something to that. Yeah.
Definitely, yes. And now it's, also my family, when Ghost Hunters came out, I was a teenager and I was like,
Sure.
wow, this is wonderful. Like people actually do this.
Yeah,
They're, like,
right.
talking about it. So my mom would watch them with me, and we talk about it a little bit, but there was still always, like I said, the running thing of, well, anything weird is gonna happen, it's gonna happen to you and no one else. And so it was just like,
Right,
I don't
this
know
is
if
your
that.
thing. I'm not worried about it.
Right. Okay, cool. I get to see all the ghosts and nobody else does.
Yeah. This is
You know?
my continual trauma. That's awesome.
Yeah. Great. Yes.
Yeah. So as you're getting older, are there any like specific stories that really like strike you as like very powerful or just left an impression on you, either because they were weird or emotional?
Oh my gosh, I have so many.
Tell me all of them.
Oh my gosh. I know I'm posting some of them on my Twitter. I don't know if you've been able to read any of
I
them,
have
but
read some of them.
okay.
So that was another reason I was like, please talk to
Oh my
me on my
gosh.
podcast.
Right. So definitely the one I posted about when we lived in the house that used to be a taxidermist house. Because we were military, we moved a lot. So we moved to this house, and oh man, this place was already, it's really dark energy no matter what. The house just always felt like you could barely see anything. It was just so dark all the time.
Yeah.
And my room wonderfully had wood paneling with deer and forest painted on it. It's really great for me, a 12 to 13-year-old girl. It's like
Like a woodsman.
I really
yeah.
loved feminine stuff at the time, and I was just like, this is a great room. So but oh, it was such a weird house. When we were moving in, when we first looked at the house, you kind of walked in and then you stepped down into the living room, and then you could walk across to the back door, and it had some steps that went up it. But all this all had carpet on it. There was a huge stain from the front door through the living room, like down the step, through the living room, up the back steps. The realtor told us the carpet had been changed like 3 times before we, like after the guy had left, the taxidermist, or I think he was the owner, wanting to rent it out. There's concrete on slab underneath. They had even cleaned the concrete. The stain still kept coming up. No idea why. Right. Nobody could get it out. This was brand new carpet. Same stain happened every time. So she just kind of like left us with that information, and we were like, all right, cool.
You just take that, enjoy.
We'll just put some rugs over it, I guess. So we moved in. And one morning, by this time my sister and I were old enough to walk to school. So my parents usually left early for work in the morning. And let us get ready to go by ourselves. And we were getting ready together in the bathroom, which had like 2 separate parts. I don't know if you've seen those kind of bathrooms where there's like a door separating. So we were both in there kind of like getting ready, and the main door was shut behind us, and our parents had left. And all of a sudden the door just started shaking, and then it sounded like somebody was just pounding on it like this. And the door handle was rattling like somebody was trying to get in. And we heard like a low growl, and we were just staring, like so scared. I remember having my like one of those round brushes in my hand, squeezing it so tight that it was just like bristle marks left. And I don't think it lasted very long at all, but long enough that we just stood there like staring at this door. And we were like, what do we do? Like, oh my gosh. So we called our parents. We were like, you're not home, are you? And they were like, no, they had been gone for like 20 minutes already. Yeah. And so we stood there for, I don't know how long. It felt like an eternity, probably just a few minutes. And then we just were like, all right, I guess we're going to go, like, get out of the house. And when we got out of the bathroom, nothing was there. The house was basically dark still because it had no like natural light in it, so we couldn't really see very much. We grabbed our backpacks and ran. We were like, we're
of course.
Yeah, it was like,
oh my god, yes.
Oh, that just thinking about that story gives me chills still. A lot of emotions.
Of course.
Yes, it was so scary. And yeah, that house, we lived there for 3 months. We were so happy when they told us we were moving. Like, I don't, I don't know how long we could have like really stayed there. The cabinets opened all the time, to the point my mom took off the cabinet doors in the kitchen. She would just like, oh, I'm just gonna try something new. She was trying not to alarm us.
Yes.
I think she was just like, I'm just gonna try something new. I saw this style I liked in the magazine. So she called stuff off, put some like decorations up around the cabinet. Me and my sister were like, we know what's going on. Right.
We heard a growling monster. What are you doing? Right? We know what this is. Yes.
Years later, she told us in the middle of the night, the linen drawers that were built into the closet would just open. All the cabinets in the hallway would open. She would just have to go close them and be like, not right now. And then that's a pretty big deal to
Totally. Yeah.
Yes, like what's going on?
Right.
But that house was so scary.
Yeah.
I was so happy to leave. Our next house had, of course, other stuff happen, but it was not as so terrifying as that thing was.
Oh my God. Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Now,
Oh
I
my
don't know if it was
God.
animal spirits, since it was a
Sure.
taxidermist, or energy or whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely did not feel like humanistic. It felt definitely like more of like a struggle. I don't know if it was, now that I have been in this community, I've learned more about these things. I don't know if I would classify it as trying to be something mean or terrifying on purpose.
Yes.
Probably misunderstood.
Right.
Communicating the only way it knows how to communicate. And so, yeah.
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, because I feel that way about so many of these experiences, that like, okay,
Mhm.
we're putting our interpretation and our framework on the behavior of these entities or this energy, whatever it is. And it's like,
Mhm.
you can't necessarily impose that, because you don't know where their frame of reference, their framework, and where they're coming from. Right.
Yes.
Like, what if
Yes.
they're just like,
Exactly.
why are these two girls in my house, and they're trying to open
Right?
doors and figure out, and they're just like, I don't understand this,
Right? Or even if it's like animal energy, I want
Yeah.
food, I'm hungry, why am I here, let me out of this
Totally.
space or something. So,
Right.
so considering what happened in that house, I'm sure so many things are still hanging around energy wise, I would assume, anyways.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yes.
Mhm.
Because even if like people are just bringing like roadkill, it's like, okay, well, that's something that
Right?
probably died violently. If something was shot, it's like,
Yes.
well, that died violently. There's energy, like even if nothing
Yeah.
happened in the house, like that energy is being brought into the house, and then that, like, those corpses are being worked
Yeah.
on. Like that's a lot. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So I'm glad to have found this community, just so I can give that a new frame of reference.
Oh, totally.
Because when I was younger, I definitely was like, it was a demon or something, like that, because that's all I had to go off of. Now I
Yes.
can be more respectful, I feel like, to the things that come around me.
That's it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. And again,
definitely.
engaging with a sense of wonder, as opposed to like a sense of fear or a sense of anger, like, what is this thing? This
Yes.
must be evil. This demon is trying to possess the house or whatever. Like, it's
Right.
just, it's way cooler to be like, I don't know what this is. Let's see. Can we talk
Right.
to it? Like,
Yeah.
maybe we could have a fun
Right?
conversation. Yeah.
If only we had the Estes Smith.
Oh my, I know.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
I always think about, I don't know if you follow, there's this account I follow, it's called Hunger for Words, and there's this woman who trained her dog
Oh
to talk
no.
with a talk
Oh,
board.
is it Bunny the dog?
No,
Or is
that's
it
another one. But yeah, so
Okay.
like, if this woman who kind of originated this idea,
Okay.
she's a speech therapist. And so
Yeah.
working with nonverbal kids and adults. And so then
Yeah.
having these like little, I don't know how to describe it, like those pop lights,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
with words. And like, the dog will just go like, eat now. And she
I
knows
love
exactly.
it.
Right, exactly. So if there was a way to do that with like entities, because maybe they're
Right.
just hungry,
Right.
like you said, just eat now. And then we have to figure out what
Oh
to
my
feed the
gosh.
spirit dogs.
That would be great. Just press this button. We
That's
can
it. I'm
figure
here.
out
I'll
what we
help.
need.
Yes, exactly.
I
Flashlights are
love
so passe. We need talk boards.
that would be such a fun experiment to see, like, if you could get a response, because if we get responses through flashlights or light manipulation, or the K2 kind of stuff or anything like that, why wouldn't we be able to have like a interaction with something like that? So
That's
I think you
exactly
should
it.
try it.
All right. I'll put
Okay.
that on the list of a million
Right.
different projects. Make a talk board
Right.
for ghosts.
Oh my
First the
gosh.
Gansfeld goggles, then the talk board.
Yes. I'll just keep adding to it.
Why not? Exactly. Just whatever random technology I can
Oh my
incorporate
gosh.
into my communication with spirit.
Yes. There's put them around your house, you randomly hear like outside.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be cool with that. Like, if it was like offering, I'm like, I'll get the bread and honey. Don't worry about it.
That's so good. Oh my gosh, yes, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm mostly serious about this. I think I'm gonna do it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I think you should totally try it, because I think that's a really cool idea to branch out from,
That's it.
why not? Right?
Why not? Exactly.
Why not?
Again,
Yes.
why not? And because it's so much more interesting when you're bringing in new ideas. Again, like you said, rather than just saying like, oh, this is a demon, let's get an exorcist. Like, no,
Right.
let's get a soundboard. Like, maybe it has cool things to say.
Exactly. I mean, if it worked, why? I mean, the worst thing that could happen is it didn't work, and that's it.
Then that's totally fine, right? Like,
because you're back at square one where you were already before.
That's it. Plus, I have an interesting story to tell about how I built a chalkboard.
There you go.
And then I could get a dog, and so it's not going to go to waste.
Yes, I've seen them used with cats too, which I was like, oh my gosh, if I could know what all my cats are saying, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Although I have been able to train some of the cats to come for a certain sound.
Yes.
So they know when it's time to eat. And we have trained them to go outside to go potty.
Oh, that's
Just
great.
Amazing, because I'm super allergic to cats. I found out after we got cats.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they can go to the door now, and they know like I gotta go outside to go potty, and so
oh my God,
it's been good. So they're so smart. Yes. So definitely. I would love to talk buttons with them.
We have to develop a whole line now of communication with spirits and or animals.
Yes.
I like this.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So what else, because you were talking about like growing up and having these experiences as an adult, are there anything like do you go on regular like ghost hunting adventures, or
I don't?
What's your weird, like how do you engage the phenomena, the weirdness?
It's when I least expect it, like, quite honest.
Sure, that's fine too.
The thing is, I really never like seek it out that often. It just kind of happens. I know I've posted before, we live next to a cemetery. And when I say next to a cemetery, it's like a big plot of land that was cut, and there's a cemetery on the side, and here's our house. So
Jesus.
There's a fence between us, and that's literally it. This cemetery goes back to like, I think the earliest I have right now is 1870s.
Oh wow.
I think there's some over there that go back a little bit further. This land used to have a church on it though, and it was also a schoolhouse. Oh. So, but that was their cemetery. It's like a 2-acre cemetery. Yeah. So it's not taken care of very well. I wish it was. We're trying to figure out how we might be able to get over there and take care of it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But we definitely have weird stuff that happens. Sometimes inside the house, not as much though, because I have kind of put my foot down and been like, you guys can't like come in here all the time, because I have 2 little kids.
Oh yeah.
You're freaking them out. Like,
right. Right.
Let's stay outside. All right.
Exactly.
I mean, we have seen weird, not in, I don't know how else to explain it. It's not an orb like a picture orb.
Yes.
It's literally a light in front of your face floating in the air, and you're just like, all right, what is that?
Right.
We have seen red ones, blue ones, yellow ones. And we have done the trick of like, is it from outside? But we're pretty far away from the road.
Yes.
So getting any reflection is not typical in the house. Yes. I mean, I've seen a blue and yellow like flashing light like right in front of my eyes, and I was like, all right, and then it just went away. Wow. Sometimes we see shadow people. The one thing we have realized is every time we have seen a shadow person in the house when it's at night, me and my husband, usually something is going on with our kids and we need to go check on them. And we just didn't know. And it's been really weird.
Yes.
Yeah. One time we were sitting on the couch And my husband saw behind me, he's like, something just walked into their room. He's like, I just saw like a person walk in there. We were like, oh gosh. So we went in there. Our daughter was sitting up on her top bunk, about to lean over the edge in her sleep. And we were just like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And the other time we have seen, they were like falling off their bed almost every time, or they're not feeling well or something. And
Yes.
it's been, so we always go check now. We're like, all right, if we see somebody, something's going on.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Which I find really awesome. I usually am like, thank you for telling us. Like,
of course. You have a helpful shadow person in your house.
Right. We have
amazing. Shadow nanny.
Right. And just like, it's been the weirdest thing, but I was like, I remember one day thinking like, every time we see this person, it's always been when our kids needed help with something and they were asleep or in their bed or something was going on, and we've always been able to tell. And so I always say thank you, and something like that. But it was weird at first. We were a little bit freaked out, but then now it's just kind of like, all right, whatever. But
well, that's it. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's really cool, because it's like you've established now a relationship with whatever is going on, and the thank you. So it's not like you're not afraid of it. You're not sending it bad energy.
Yeah.
At first it was like, what is this? And now you're like, oh, this is something that is protecting my children. Like, yes, right? Thank you for being here and for cluing us in when you can see something we can't,
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we first moved into the house, though, something weird did happen for our oldest daughter. She does see things sometimes.
Sure.
She came into our room one morning and she goes, there's two people outside my window, all dressed in black, and I can't see their faces. And they were just standing there. We were like, whoa, wait a second. So we were like wondering, because our neighbor's house was empty at the time and they were fixing it up. So we're like, did somebody come walk over here? Because our houses were sold at kind of the same time. And so we went out there. There was nothing out there, anything. And she just is like, I can't see their face. And I was like, so like, did they look like shadows? And she was like, yeah, kind of. And I was like, all right, all right. And then she saw one again. A couple months later, she thought it was me walking outside, and she called, mom. And I walked out of the kitchen. I was like, what's up? I'm right here. She goes, yeah, you were just outside. You were walking in the yard. And I was like, God. No, I wasn't. Right. I went out there. Nobody was there. No, not even our neighbors outside. And I was like, could you see any color or anything? And she said, no, it was all dark. And it just looked like they had a braid, because at the time I had really long hair. Oh, yeah. And she said, it looked so much like you. And I thought you had left us and gone outside. I was like, no, I didn't. Wow. It just, so I know that obviously she can sense things too, and she has obviously some sensitivities too, and so I try to be open and talk to her about it, and be like, don't be afraid of these things. I know it's easy to be afraid because you don't know what it is, but none of them are here to hurt you. None of them. They're just doing their thing, and I'm just like, let them just walk on out in the yard, and they're gonna leave. So
that's it, right? They just need to be in the yard right now, and it's okay.
Right. And I explained, we have a cemetery next door. There's going to be some energy there, and whatever this land was a church and a school where kids were learning and things were happening, and there's going to be energy from both of those things. So I try to always be like, we're not going to be afraid of these things. So I'm trying to instill that.
I love that. That's so good.
Thank you.
Well, because it's like, it's hard enough to be a kid and just try to understand like the mundane world and your place in it and how to operate. And then all of a sudden you're seeing like shadow people. And, and like, think you see your mom outside and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah.
I'm trying to, from when I didn't have anybody to talk to about it as a kid, I'm trying to give her like a complete outlet of, you can talk about it, and like, I'm not gonna think you're weird or crazy, like, these are things that happen sometimes, and so let's talk about it, because I hated that feeling of not being able to talk about it. So I
Of
want them
course.
to know, like, you're able to talk about it if you want
Yeah.
to. So
That's really great.
thank you.
I think that's good. That just warms my heart, you know?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, of course. Well, it's good too, because it's like, again, this like introduction to the paranormal and like maintaining a certain open-mindedness, because then
Yes.
you're not going to feel like you have to shut it off or that you're scared. And so it just, again, like there's no panic brain circle of protection, you know, it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, let's play. What is this? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
that's cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I love it. So what would you consider like your big, like, is there like one single event that kind of led you to deep dive into the paranormal, or was it
Oh,
just this
definitely.
collection? Hmm.
Um, so I've never talked about this really before with anybody, besides like my husband and my sister, and I've talked a little bit about it to my mom. In 2019, in August of 2019, my grandmother passed away. She had dementia and she passed away. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I was helping caretake her for with my mom for like 2 years before she passed.
Yeah.
During her passing though, it was really weird. Um, since we knew she was passing, she was in a room in my mom's house, and we had nurses coming in and stuff, and we were helping give morphine to make her comfortable and everything. And a few days before she passed away, the room got really weird feeling. And I tried telling everybody, and they were like, no, this isn't like that's not happening to us. It felt like as soon as you walk through the door, you were walking on like a cloud. It felt like, and then on top of that, it felt like a staticky cloud. The whole room felt static all around it. But as soon as I left the room, completely normal, no feeling. So because at first they were like, are you sure it's not just like your energy or like you're feeling kind of like sad or it's your own emotions? And I was like, no, like I can handle this pretty well. I was handling it okay. And I was like, it's when I walk into the room.
Yeah.
It felt like you could fall through the floor. Like that's how in the air it felt.
Yeah.
It kind of made you dizzy and it sounded like a buzzing kind of noise. And as she got closer to passing, it got just more and more intense. And I was just like, to the point where I just was like, I don't know if I can go in the room.
Right.
And the last day before she was about to pass, my sister, who walked in the room and she came right back out and she was like, I just felt that. And she was just like, okay, now I see what you're talking about. Like,
yeah.
I told you guys.
Yeah,
like,
right. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And I kept being like, she's about to go. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
she's even here anymore because that's
Yes.
how crazy it felt. She had been sleeping, like, we'd been making her
Yeah.
comfortable, but I don't know if she was actually there or she was in the middle of like the transition or something. The night before she passed, I had just kind of like said into the air one night, into the universe, kind of to my grandfather, who was her husband. He had passed 2 years before. That's why she came to live with us. I said, can you please just come get her? Like, this is enough. She's suffered plenty. I really need you to come get her. And then sure enough, the next morning she passed away. And then that night, I think it was that night, or maybe the next day, I was just like, thank you. I was like, thank you for coming to get her. And then all of a sudden I could smell them. They had a really distinct, they used Irish Spring soap all the time.
Okay, yeah.
That was the smell of their house. Anytime you walked in their house, this was, how your grandparents or elderly people, there's usually a sort of scent that they carry.
Yes.
This was it. And it was not just Irish Spring, but it was like them. And I smelled it for a couple seconds and then it was gone. And I was just like, all right, that's, that is it.
That's it, exactly.
And then that whole week, another crazy thing is she loved dragonflies and butterflies.
Yeah.
we all of a sudden had dragonflies all over our house outside. We'd only live next to water. I don't know why they were there. And then there was a group of about 4 to 5 butterflies that kept hanging out, especially around my kids.
Yes.
Every time they go outside to play, they'd be over them. They'd come land on us, all these things. And I was just like, all right, like, it's you. I get it. And
yeah, right.
it's great to see you. And
yes. Thanks for saying hi. Yeah.
yes. And then after about a week, they were gone. But after that, I was just like, you know what? Like, I feel like I've been pushing it away my whole life. And I wanted to be like, what is going on? Like, what is this? Why do things attract themselves to me? And I just wanted to know more. So then I got on Twitter.
Yes.
Because nobody knew me there. It wasn't,
right. It's perfect. Yes.
It wasn't Facebook world or Instagram. Nobody knew me on Twitter. And I just started looking up accounts and people who were talking about paranormal stuff. And then kind of started to like follow people. The guys from Liminal Earth started to reach out to me because I was like saying, you know, I wanted to talk about the weird stuff I was experiencing or had experienced.
Yes.
And they were like, yes, let's share stories.
I love it. Yeah.
That's just how it kind of like happened naturally into that progression.
That's so good. That's so good. They're so welcoming too. Like it just, again, I that's what I want from like the entire paranormal community. Just like, hey, we've all seen and heard and experienced weird things. Like, let's be a family, you know? Yeah.
Yes. And around that time, I happened to find Hellier.
Yeah.
I had been watching Kindred Spirits again, like I've always watched it, but they all of a sudden had all these episodes with Greg and Dana on them.
Yeah.
And I was like, who are these people? So I was like, I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah.
Because they were on like a few episodes in a row, I think.
Sure.
And
yeah.
I was like, who are these people? So I looked them up and I saw on like IMDb that they had a movie called Hellier, and I was like, okay. So then I happened to find it on Amazon, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna just start this and see. I saw it was episodes. I binged the whole thing in one night.
Yep.
And the next day I was so tired, and I told my husband, I was like, you gotta watch this, like it's so crazy.
Yes.
The stuff they talked about just like it confounded like all my experiences that I had. I was like, gosh, I don't feel crazy anymore. Like those things that happened, they really did happen. And maybe it's not what I thought it was, but you know, maybe it's something else. But man, I felt like seeing something for the first time, you know, and it changed like everything. And then I got introduced to tarot through that, and it changed my whole viewpoint of tarot. And it always had seemed like such a scary thing, because I was like, what, you know, if you're opening yourself up to talking to whatever through these cards, what are you opening yourself up to? And that's before I understood any of it. And then seeing Dana use those in Hellier, I was just like, okay, well now I'm really interested.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
It's just like, you know, this is interesting. And then I got my first deck on Halloween of that year, and before so they had the Haunted Salem thing, and I was like, this is so cool. And I was just like, I felt so like, this is like who I want to be. And it felt like I was finally finding the part of myself that I'd always been like, you know, you don't need to be out here. And, you know, close away. Yes. And it was so great finding that. And then now, you know, finding everybody in the community.
Yes.
It has been amazing.
That's so great. Yeah. So since you brought up tarot, please tell everybody about Tidy Tarot.
Yes. So Tidy Tarot, I know a lot of people have seen it. It's notebooks with journaling for your daily tarot.
I love it.
So I'll tell you how Tidy Tarot first started.
Please.
It was not journal. It was actually, my sister was like, I really want to do something. I don't know what it is, because she knew I was kind of like getting into some witchy things and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, I just kind of want to do something. And she was like, I really want to make soap. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's learn how to make soap. So she, we had been talking about it for a long time, and she had bought all this soap making stuff. And then we wanted to do something soap based on tarot.
Oh, neat.
And I think it's still kind of an idea we have, but I don't know when it's going to work out. Sure. She lives on the other side of the country. So we
were complicated. Yes.
Very quickly. We're like, we don't know how this is going to pan out. We're both in school.
Oh my God.
We both have families. Like, we were like, I don't really know. So at the same time she had been doing this, I had started creating actually journal inserts for myself, because I need to write stuff down to learn it. It's lovely ADHD qualities of I cannot seem to keep it in my brain. I will go to every different website every time I pull cards to like be like, oh yeah, so yeah, this is what it means. So I was like, you know what, I learned stuff by writing it down, the actual act of it. So I started creating journal inserts for myself. And I asked a few friends, I was like, would you like to try this out and see if it's like you like this or not? And a few of them did. And they were like, oh, this is great. Like, I love this. And so then I asked my sister, I was like, would you mind if I just tried to do some of these journal inserts under Tidy Tarot? And she was like, yeah, go for it, because we're not really using it right now. And then I found out how to make journals.
Yes.
I was like, I'm gonna try that. So
I love it.
You know, because at first it was for myself, and then people were like, the people that I asked if they wanted to try it, they were like, oh, this actually works really well. Dana had let me post a PDF in Magic of the Month on Facebook.
Cool. Yeah.
Because it was when I was still just like, oh, I have this thing I made for myself. It might be helpful for other people. Right. And I got a ton of feedback. They were like, wow, oh yeah, I love this. And I was like, all right. Right. Then I was like, all right, so maybe I should do something. So I started making the journals, and each of these has like space for a whole deck. So 78 cards, like traditional. And then I was like, maybe I should do crystal stuff, because I like working with crystals a lot. In divination, sometimes I will do like a random pull of crystals to go with my tarot cards.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It was just kind of like a natural, like, oh, I do this, so I'll just add it in.
Right.
And then it kind of took off.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to. I was just like, oh, this is just like, this would be nice for myself to have like a real tangible journal that's not just inserts. And then I made a crystal one of just crystal divination. And then I started thinking, the one that I just released is spell book, a spell and ritual one. Yes. Because same thing, if I do not write it down, I don't remember what I did. Yes. And the grimoire that I had started is like all over the place. And I was just like, I need to organize myself, or this is going to be a mess all the time, which is fine. If anyone does chaos and it works for you, like, yes, I'm a Virgo rising and I cannot.
Oh. Yeah, I get it.
I cannot let myself do it.
I get it, because I'm an Aquarius, and so I'm like freeform and chaos, but my Mercury is in Capricorn, so I need some grounding, or else it's a bad time. Yes.
Right. So I was like, okay, all right. I'm a Leo sun, but I was like, I need some organization in my life on this part.
Yes.
So I made like it's got 2 whole pages. And I mean, it may not be for everyone, and that's fine. I just based it off of what I would like to have. A lot of spell journals I see are tiny, and they have a lot of like images and not there's like this much space to write something.
Right.
I was like, these things are intense. Like,
thank you. You want a proper workbook to document what you've done. Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
then behind like you have 2 pages, and then I made a notes page and then like a dot grid behind that.
Yeah.
So because I also draw stuff out sometimes, or sigils, you know, working with those, that kind of thing. So those are the 2 that's one I just released, but I was able to finally get it in hardcover, and I was like,
oh
yes.
my God, yes.
I was so excited. They're more expensive, but
obviously, but like that's a real like ritual too. I like anything that has weight. I'm like, there's a real like sense of purpose to this thing. Yeah.
Right. I'm hoping to get some of the tarot journals into hardcover form too, but now it's kind of taken off into several different realms. I was recently asked if I could create one for runes, so I'm working on that right now. Which, you know, any form of divination that people want to explore, I think is really great to have something where you can like pinpoint what you're working on, and where you can come back to it and see what it meant to you, and not necessarily what it means to every person with a blog. You know? So
exactly,
you need to be able to have space to write what you want, and sometimes you know, it's like I said, it's not for everyone. Some people do really great with line journals, and that's so awesome. But so yeah, it's definitely taking off way more than I ever thought. My sister kind of was like, I think this is yours now. She was like, I think you've really done a lot. She does a lot of creative stuff too, and sometimes we still talk about everything that is for Tidy Tarot, but you know, so she just basically handed me like, here, take it, and she's doing some other stuff, and some things we kind of come in together on like artwork and stuff, but it's mostly my little baby and creative outlet, because it's been really helpful to have like something like that to do besides school, besides being a mom, you know, all those kind of things. I have a different outlet to go to.
That's it, exactly.
And where I can be really weird.
Right. And you can be weird in a way that other people like love and support, because they're weird in the same way. Like that's one thing. Community.
That's one thing about it, is like the amount of support from this community has been so incredible and kind of overwhelming, to where I'm just like, I've never had so many people want to support me in my life, you know, and that's like, that's amazing feeling. I mean, as a military kid, I grew up as a new kid. I didn't always have friends around or friend groups. I really was by myself a lot of times. I made friends, so I had groups of people, but I was never in like a true group of people. And now I actually feel like I have like a true community outside of, you know, home life, and it's really been amazing so far. So I love the community that we have.
And it's so cool to have like the people you consider like friends like all around the country, who like are interested in you and what you're doing, and again with your books like want like more, like give us more.
I mean, I even had somebody in Australia ask me to send them one, so I did, and I was like, cool, you know. It's amazing. And then I've seen some people have ordered them from Europe, because you can look on the Amazon thing where who's ordered what. It doesn't show you who did, but it just shows you where.
That's so cool.
So the US, European, I was just like, that's wild to me.
Totally.
Totally. Crazy.
That's so cool.
I don't know, like whenever you guys did your Pan Paracon, which I thought was incredible, I loved it. If you got to see who was able to view it, or around the world, were you able to see any of that?
I haven't looked at the data yet, but I'm sure I could just go into the I was so busy with like just being in it, and then afterwards I was like, I need to be on the floor for a week, don't ask me to look at anything.
I feel you. It's like
Yeah.
that's a lot of energy to give out, and you're gonna need to
Recharge.
take a break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. But we got such a good response from people all over, just the
Yes.
people even responding to us on Twitter. It was like, oh, this is cool. We've reached some really good people with
Yes.
this. Yeah.
I think especially through the pandemic and stuff, this has been so helpful for so many people of like having a community like this where you can come talk to somebody and not feel so alone sometimes,
Oh, totally.
So like
Yes.
I know for me and my husband, like this community saved us from feeling like lonely or burnt out or anything through this whole thing. Our mental health was definitely helped by PhenomenaCon, the PanParaCon,
Yeah.
any of those things that people did online to come
Right.
together, but you're not having to be in the same space.
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what was so cool too, to just like have people from all around the country. And it's like, okay, here's the Zoom time, just convert from Eastern to whatever your local time
Yes.
zone is. And we're all just gonna chat,
Yeah.
So like again, like people from like Washington, like East Coast to West Coast, like we had everybody. So it was really
It's
cool.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching. Yeah.
You're welcome.
It was so, I mean, it was just so cool too to have like, like the three of us were just people who like were interested in, Hellier and weird stuff and paranormal stuff. And then it was just like, again, Mira posted something like, who wants to do something for all the folks who didn't go to Michigan Paracon? And it was like, me. Like,
Right.
yes, this is the thing now. All my energy into this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was very helpful because I know there was probably a lot of people, including myself, had the fear of missing out, of seeing other people being able to go and do these things. And you're like, it just was not something I could do right now. And it's I'm excited for those people that they got to do those things, but then you definitely do feel a little bit like, is it already going back to normal and I cannot participate,
That exactly that. Yes. Yes. Well, and especially too, like after having worked a year in retail during the pandemic and like,
oh my gosh,
like the stress of that. And again, the number of people who just want to act like nothing is happening. It's like, have you seen the numbers? It's still a pandemic. Like, I get that you're over it, but
like as if we are not over it. I am just as over it, but I'm also not willing to put anyone in danger. Like
exactly it. I still like, I got a mask on. I might be vaccinated. I still have a mask on basically as soon as I leave the house until I get back home. Like
yes.
Yeah,
we do too, because I mean we have 2 kids that I'm not throwing them into the fire with everybody. So I have to protect them because I could, even though I'm vaccinated, I can bring it home, but
that's it.
I'm a high risk person, so but my girls are too, and
of course,
so we're just not willing to do it, but hopefully in like a year or 2 we
crossed.
Can I know, right? It's like whatever normal is gonna be later.
Right, exactly. Right.
I might still show up with a mask on.
I have not had a cold or a sinus infection in going on 2 years. Like, you will never catch me on public transportation without a mask again, period. Like, period.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I told my family. I was like, just so you know, like during the flu season, I will be wearing a mask. Like,
exactly. This is the new thing for me. Get used to it. Yes.
Right. It makes me feel more comfortable. My anxiety comes down. So I'm just like, it feels nice. I don't know. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. And I guess I think I'm one of the weird people that I'm okay with it. But
well, especially go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, having been interested in the weird for most of my life, that also means that like weird people are just like, let me talk to you about all my conspiracy theories. And like, I don't even know your first name. So no, the mask, definitely people are less inclined to be like, okay, let's talk about the Bilderbergs. And it's like, nope.
That's so true. It's great. Oh my gosh. I don't know how people seek us out. Like, they know that I have people come up and talk to me about random stuff that I definitely don't want to talk about. And I'm just like,
Right. I
No,
don't need
no,
this
thank you.
information in my brain.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Of all the billions of people on this planet, why were you like, this one? This is the one
That's
I need to
it.
talk to.
Maybe like you said, we're receptive to things and they're open.
I definitely feel like, I don't know if you've had this experience. I definitely feel like sometimes the universe picks someone who's like a little not there to communicate directly to me, like say
Yes.
something. Like I'll get random messages from just like strangers who decide to talk to me. I'm like,
Yes.
this seems profound in a way that I need to pay attention to, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh man. Oh yes. I have people come up to me with weird stuff. I'd rather be like, can we talk about goblins? And
that's a new
it
thing.
might
It's like
scare them off.
it's like go home, watch Hellier. If you see me again on the street, we can have a conversation, but
Then
not
we can
until
talk.
then we can talk. Not until you've watched both seasons. Thank
Yes.
you.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
Cool.
So true.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour already, which has not felt like that at all.
No.
So is there any last parting story you want to talk about?
One I didn't talk about yet was I hope it's not too much time to
No,
okay.
this is I'm just trying to be mindful of you. I literally could talk to you all day. So this has been great. Yeah.
Thank you. One I did want to talk about is my personal reincarnation story.
Please, yes.
This is not to say whether or not reincarnation is real or whatever happens after you die. It's just part of my life story that has been very weird. And probably this means I've probably had weird stuff happen since birth. I just don't remember.
Of course. Yeah.
So first I have to talk to you about my traumatic birth story to get to the point of where it is.
Yes.
So I was born in the 1980s, and my mom, when she was in labor with me, she never really went into labor, quite honestly. I was already 2 weeks late. I was not moving around. They had me on like a heart monitor thing on her belly, and my heartbeat was at 9 beats per minute. They thought I was going to be stillborn. So they had her smoking to raise my heart rate. Like that's what I mean.
The 80s.
Right? Just wonderful science right there. And they were like, okay, every time you smoke, the baby's heart rate goes up, but we lived right. I know.
I'm sorry. That's just incredible.
No. It is so wild to me. But we lived out in like what is it, Eastern Oregon, in a very small town, small hospital. We were not close to anything, so they did not have any NICU. They were not prepared for whatever this was going to be. Anyways, so I was already 2 weeks late. They put her to sleep. They thought I was going to be stillborn. They were like, you don't want to be here for this. You don't want to be awake for this. So she was like, okay. So I was born next morning at about 7 a.m. And somehow I was still alive, but because they didn't have a NICU, they weren't close to anything. They didn't think that I was going to survive. So they kind of sent us home to let me pass. Like that was it. They had run blood tests and everything. They didn't understand why I was so not moving. I was lethargic, like none of the normal baby things. My mom said like during those 2 weeks, she had to guess basically, because babies cry for everything that they need. She had to guess for everything I needed, just because I wouldn't make a sound or anything. And at the 2-week checkup that they had, she was in the office and they got a call. They had sent my blood results to the Oregon Health Sciences Center in Portland, and they called and they were like, this baby, her thyroid levels are in the 600s. I don't know if you know anything about thyroid levels, but that means there was absolutely no thyroid running through my body.
Oh my God.
No thyroid hormone, nothing. turns out I was born completely without one.
Oh my God.
Completely without
Wild.
thyroid.
Yeah.
So they were like, this is why this happened. So they got me on thyroid medicine, and then all of a sudden I became a baby.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but they also warned her that they didn't think I was going to be able to talk. I might be mentally challenged in some way.
Sure.
They really didn't have a lot of high hopes for me.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh.
which I really did not talk until I was about 3.5 or so. I had my own language with my sister. Which, go figure, I turned out to be neurodivergent.
Right. Shocking. Yes.
Shocking, right? But when I was about 3, I told my mom, just out of the blue, and mind you, I really didn't talk that much.
Yes.
I said, hey, we used to be sisters in my old life. And she was like, what? Like, she goes, what do you mean? Like, and I said, we used to be sisters in my old life. I remember we stood on a dirt road next to each other on our family farm, and our family had a farm, and we had a whole family, and then that was it. That's the only thing I ever said about it. But it stuck with her,
Of course,
like forever.
Yes.
So when I was about 12, our family had suddenly gotten to genealogy and all that kind of stuff. There was a picture of one of my grandmother's aunts. So it would have been my mom's great aunt, and she was stunted growth, really wide set body. Definitely had something going on, you could tell, because the rest of the family was very tall people.
Yeah.
There is a picture of them standing on a dirt road in front of their family farm. My mom asked my grandma, who is that woman and what is going on with her? And they said her name was Girly. And they said, oh, they thought she was born without a thyroid gland, right? She did not really do well. She was very mentally challenged. Her body, she didn't grow very tall. Her body kind of grew out, because if anything with like endocrine systems, your body does kind of grow out instead of up. So,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird, unless you can get it regulated, but
right.
Even then, it still doesn't help. I mean, I'm 5'4". They thought I should have been 5'9" by the gross platelets in my feet. So I am stunted growth for me. Yeah. The other women in my family are all 5'6" to 5'9". So I definitely am the shortest.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyway, so it turns out she had been born, they believe, without a thyroid gland. She loved kids. She was, they loved her very much. The family really could not afford her medicine, though. They did try to have her on some sort of medicine. Yeah. She died, they think, at 33 or 34. They cannot really tell. Okay. The records are kind of, records from then, a farm family. We don't really know. Yeah. Anyways, so to me, after hearing that, I was just like, and then my mom was like, when you were 3, you told me like I was your sister. And that would have been her grandmother, my mom's grandmother would have been her sister. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's reincarnation or just, a spirit thing, but it's definitely weird. Yes. We both were born with the same ailment and the same family. It's skipped over. Yes. I wasn't even supposed to be born. Like, I'm also a birth control baby. Oh boy. Right? Yeah. So it's definitely a weird thing. And so now a lot of the time, I try to think of her all the time in the stuff that I do. As a kid, I also really loved being around kids. I loved to babysit, all those things. I always had said, I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom. Yeah. And I think a lot of the same personality traits that she held, I also kind of ended up holding, and from what family tells me, about her. So it's just such a weird story. It's amazing. Oh my God. Yeah. That's incredible. that's why I think too that maybe there's something about me and that I am more receptive to these things than other people, that it could be, some kind of spirit reincarnation thing. Maybe she gets to live her life out finally, or
Sure. Yes.
any other things. It's been really emotional for me this last birthday and through to my next one, because I'm the same age she would have been when she passed.
Oh,
so
sure. Yeah.
I was just always like, man, if I make it to then it's for her, that's a full life. If she's getting to live through me in any which way possible,
yes, right,
and she gets to have a full life finally, because she was stuck at home so much.
of course.
This was like in the 20s and 30s, so she did not have medical care that she could have had. So science is incredible.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
That's why I think I love this community too, is that everyone still acknowledges science.
Yes.
And but also the weird, and how they can kind of intertwine, and things can be scientific and really crazy at the same time.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah, the wonder of not knowing, right? And the exploration of what a thing could be. I think that's really beautiful about this community. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I think,
yeah,
I'm sure I've had more paranormal experiences in my life
sure.
than I know. And maybe it was just one of those things. I was just like, no, that's normal, until I was 9, and that's when something actually like stuck around for me.
Of course.
So,
yes. That's amazing.
But like I said, I've never known a house since then that has not had some sort of activity. So I think it's me.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
I think it's me.
Yeah. That's okay. You seem to be at peace with it and joyful about it.
Yes,
so yeah.
I am definitely. What's funny is I had my chart read too by Magdalene Kelly. I was like, I want to know what happened at that point when my grandmother died, and what. Yes. Because I felt like I just went right into a new realm of life. Absolutely. I feel like there's a before and after. And sure enough, they said it was definitely the beginning of a new part of my life, and it's going to continue for about 4 years, I think. Wow. So I was just like, that's incredible.
Totally. Yes. Yes.
Wow. Yes, that was really wild to have them read for me, and like I was like, that's great. I needed to pinpoint that, because that is definitely when things changed for me completely.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like you have those experiences and you just know in your bones, like, oh, this is a demarcation point, right? Like everything past this is going to be different. So
yes. I think everyone should get their chart read now. Just
hard agree. Yes, exactly. Yes.
But, yes. And then even still at my birth, they pointed out that the time I was born was right at sunset, and I was between light and dark, and I was like, oh man, this makes me feel just like I've always been in a liminal space. When I learned what that was, I was like, my whole life has been liminal. I've never been in a spot that's the same all the time. I've always been in between. So if we talk about how things are attracted to liminality, there we go.
I will also say they did my reading and said that because I was also born at sunset, and they said I was born at like the most liminal time possible. So no wonder I like you.
That is so true. Yes, they said the same thing for me. I was like, that makes total sense.
Right. When you're like, yeah, that tracks. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, yes. I can understand my whole life now.
It just puts everything into perspective.
So glad that you are too. Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. To see the chart too, when you see it like right, like literally right on the horizon. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. We get along now.
Right? Totally.
Because mine was also literally on the horizon. And so it was just like, oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I get it now. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for
Cool.
having me.
Oh
I
my
really
gosh,
appreciate
thank
it.
you for talking to me so much. This is
Yes.
great. Before we
Oh,
go,
I
if you
know.
could just tell people where to find you, where to find Tidy Tarot, all your links,
Okay,
plug everything.
we have, you can find Tidy Tarot Co. on Instagram. That has my link tree to all of my Amazon books, because all of these are listed separately through Tidy Tarot
Perfect.
on Amazon. And then I also have a TikTok I'm trying to build. We'll see.
I know, it's one of those things. Yeah.
You got to be lucky with that. And
Yeah.
then here on Twitter, I mean, it's not under Tidy Tarot, but Historic Alley, which I think a lot of people say Lay. It's supposed to be Lee because that's my middle name.
Oh, sure.
I do go by Allie or Alicia, but yeah, historically is my Twitter tag, or Queen of Swords. That's
Awesome. One of my favorite cards of the tarot, so love it. Yes.
So that is a card I connected with a lot, and I was like, I like this, so I just went with the name Queen of Swords. So.
Love it. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Of course. Of course. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
Yeah, this was good. Yeah, good. I'm glad.
Awesome.
Hooray.
All right, folks. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for listening and or watching, depending on where you are consuming this media. Again, please follow Alisha at Tidy Tarot Company on Instagram. She's also Historic Ali on Twitter. I will put all of those links in the description, both on Anchor and in YouTube. Thanks again so much for listening, and I hope you have a playful and curious day.